Good morning. I have been reading the book of Jeremiah, and I'm on chapter 18. And up to this point, you know, the basic overview is God is very unhappy with his people. They are serving other gods, they've turned their back on God, they cease to hear him. And it's pretty rough. When you walk away from God, it is rough, as it should be. You've walked away from the blessings of God, the protection of God. But in chapter 18, it's a story that we are very familiar with, the potter and the clay. And every time I read this, there's this one scripture that jumps off the page to me. I'm going to start reading at verse 1, but I want you to pay attention to verse 4. The word which came to Jerusalem from the Lord, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. And that's it right there. So he made it again, another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make it. I have heard, I've heard it prophesied, and I agree. I've heard it said. I've had people call me. Um, I am seeing, as a whole, as we are being remolded. I find it very interesting, though, and the part that always speaks to me is that the potter, what was in his hand was marred. And I always wonder, why was it marred? I, now, this is the way I read it. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. Now, God does all things to perfection. How is it that this perfect God that has formed the heavens and the earth, whose fingerprints are in the earth, how is it that that same God, that is the potter, how is it that we as those vessels, as those pots, are formed marred? Now, we know we're all born in sin, but I think, again, just my opinion, that there are times that God puts some imperfection in us um, in order to help us to learn what we should be. If without the law, there is no sin. I mean, if there's nothing that you have to do right, if there's nothing that you have to follow, if there's no rules, then there's never anything wrong. Uh, and that's just not the way it is. If I walk out in front of an 18-wheeler, I'm going to be hit and I'm going to die, most likely. Uh, there are rules that we follow. There are rules that we choose to follow. And you are a servant or a slave to something. But I think that back to this potter, that this pottery, this us, this vessel, I think sometimes that we are not formed in perfection, or always we're not formed in perfection, because it's only in our imperfection that we can recognize the perfection of God, the goodness of God. And when we are at that point, that now not are we marred by the potter, but we have now caused those cracks and those breakings and that filth because we have not lived the way we should live. It's then that we recognize we need help. God, I cannot make myself whole. I cannot make myself perfect. I cannot wash away my own sin. I need help. And it's then in that brokenness that God can take us and remake us. It's then that the potter's hand can come in and make the vessel something of value. This Thanksgiving season, this holiday season, let me tell you, I am thankful that my God, He could have cast me aside. I could have been nothing more than broken pieces that were good for nothing but scraping the disease from someone. But He has chosen to remake me. And I know that right now there are several of you that are going through that remolding stage. It is not a quick work. It's not a quick work. It is not an easy place to be, but it is the place we need to be. In these last days, we need to be willing to allow God to break us, to crush us, to mold us into something more. There are souls that are waiting for you. There are souls that are waiting for you to come to them in a way you've never come before, in a spirit of love and compassion. Allow God to remake you. Love y'all.